In this video we are going to take a closer look at the first wave of new Space Marine models about to come out in combination with the release of the Space Marine Codex. In the first part we will go through the actual kits previewed on Warhammer Community. In the second part we will then look at how to potentially use them in the Deathwatch. Lastly, there will be my personal conclusions and a quick wrap-up of what has been covered.
Welcome to SwissHammer, your channel for modeling in Warhammer 40k. My name is Temmer and I will be guiding you through this video.
Diving right into the new model releases, last Saturday GW started with the pre-orders for these, which will run over a 2 weeks period, meaning the actual release is the 14th of October. Next to the long-anticipated Space Marine Codex, we will get the Primaris Captain with Jump Pack, Terminator Chaplain, the Company Heroes, which are the Primaris version of the about-to-be-retired Command Squad, and then Jump Pack Intercessors, as well as multi-part kits of Terminators and Sternguard Veterans, which were previously only available as the easy-to-build version packed into the Leviathan 10th edition starter set. For anyone still recovering from the trauma of cutting away all those pre-attached pauldrons in order to fit our beloved Deathwatch one, well, this is what we have been waiting for. The good news is that for the Terminators, the Sternguard Veterans and the Jump Pack Intercessors, all pauldrons come separated from the arms on the sprue, which makes it not only very easy to convert them to the Deathwatch, but also magnetizing the arms becomes pretty trivial. The one exception here would be the Primaris Ancient, which has its left pauldron covered by the cloak, with only a tiny part sticking out. Well, I suppose for any Deathwatch player, having bothered with the dead body on the base of the apothecary, or the small piece of cloak from one of the eliminators, this will be no different. But back to magnetizing, what are the benefits here? Well, as veteran viewers well know, I always advise this in order to keep them as future-proof as possible, but I think for these Primaris kits in particular, it makes a lot of sense. Up until the release of the reworked Sternguard Veterans and the Company Heroes, the Primaris models in general just came with very few details on their armor. Especially when compared to our exclusive Deathwatch veteran kit, and not to mention the beautiful models of Kill Team Cassius, the Primaris models by default just looked completely plain, as they were lacking much of these extra trinkets, pouches and cloths found across the various veteran models of the firstborn Space Marines. The good news is that this is about to change for at least the Tacticus armored models of the Primaris, and my advice would be to take these new more detailed models as an easy base for all sorts of kit bashes. Magnets make this even easier, as one could technically swap between Sternguard Veterans, Intercessors, Assault Intercessors and so on. Then last but not least, we are also going to see the separate release of the models formerly contained in the Strike Force Agastus box, aka the Brutalis Dreadnought, the Desolation Marines, as well as the multi-part kit Lieutenant. As far as the Desolation Marines are concerned, I would personally really wait and see what happens to these guys in the new codex before committing to anything. They have been severely nerfed in the latest Monitorum Field manual, and it would surprise me if GW reverted that through a codex that was most likely printed way before that digital release. Anyway, with the different models covered, how can we best use them in the Deathwatch? Well, the omnipotent Terminators aside, which I expect to remain relevant as both a part of the Fortis Kill Team, as well as on their own, pretty much all of these releases feature Tacticus armor. Now, looking at Deathwatch specifically, we have a bit of a bad history with these, primarily because of how the Fortis Kill Team performed, or rather not performed, since its introduction in 9th edition. A while ago, I did a full review for the Fortis Kill Team in 10th edition, the link is in the description. In a nutshell, the Fortis Kill Team remains the worst of the bunch, And the reasons for this are both the newly introduced heavy limitations to the amount of additional models, as well as a poor doctrine rule that is far worse than what these models would get on their own datasheets. Then as new models in Tacticus armor continue to get released, like the Infernus, Desolation or Sternguard, GW has so far not opened these up for inclusion into the Fortis Kill Team. As such, the big question remains whether this is about to change with the introduction of the Jump Pack Assault Intercessors. When compared to the other datasheets mentioned, the main difference here is that Assault Intercessors without Jump Pack are indeed part of the Fortis Kill Team already, and if we compare this to the Fortis Kill Team, where we currently have both Vanwets with and without Jump Packs, the answer should be obvious. But we are talking GW here, and if anything, they have been displaying very poor rule support for Deathwatch in 10th edition so far. Would I count on any changes to the Fortis Kill Team at this point? Definitely not, but seeing as it currently stands with our index, we might as well start running more datasheets outside of kill teams, so any of these new ones might come in handy, depending on how they are going to perform for Space Marines in general. All in all, I think as it currently stands, too much is unknown in terms of whether GW will update the Deathwatch index in the light of the Space Marine Codex release, and as such, it is unclear how well we will be able to use any of these new models. Having said that, as I mentioned during the modeling part of his episode, I think this is a great opportunity for Deathwatch players to get more veteran-looking Primaris bodies into their armies, regardless of which datasheets they end up representing. Thanks to the multi-part kits and magnetizing options, one could build all kinds of cool-looking Tacticus armored Space Marines, praise be. To wrap things up, over the course of the video, we have looked at the first wave of new Space Marine models about to come out in combination with the release of the Space Marine Codex. The good news here is that we can stop chopping off pre-attached pauldrons from Terminators and Sternguard Veterans from the Leviathan starter box floating around on various auction sites, but instead get our hands on the new multi-part kits instead. All of these come with pauldrons separated from the actual arms, making them not only easy to include into the Deathwatch, but also for magnetizing. The one exception here would be the Company Ancient, which has the large majority of his left pauldron covered by a cloak. With the release of various Tacticus armored models, the big question remains whether GW will add support for our Fortis Kill Team, which is in serious need of a general rework, as it happens to have the worst rules out of all the kill teams available, and the latest balanced data slate has not been kind to them in the first place. Will GW update our Deathwatch index alongside the release of the Space Marine Codex? Perhaps we should start praying to the God Emperor at this point. Either way, these new kits present a great opportunity to introduce more veteran-looking Primaris models into the Deathwatch, regardless of which exact Tacticus armored Space Marine model we will end up building with them. So that's it for the release of the first wave of new Space Marine models, about to come out in combination with the release of the Space Marine Codex. Which of these are you guys going to pick up for the Deathwatch? And do you think that GW will update our Deathwatch index anytime soon? Let me know in the comments. Then finally, if you made it this far and I still have your attention, if you like my content, any additional support is greatly appreciated, as it helps me invest into future videos. For that, I have both a Ko-fi as well as a Patreon page, links are in the description. Furthermore, I would also like to mention that there is a SwissHammer Facebook page where I will be posting links to my videos as well as articles I find of interest. I do read a lot about the hobby, but not all of it will always end up as its own video. I look forward to seeing you there as well. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. I hope you have been enjoying this video, give me a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks again and see you next time.